The original Lamborghini road car had 280 horsepower and will hit 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds, which was crazy for its time. This crazy car was produced from 1964 to 1966 by Lamborghini. The successor to the 350 GT, the 400 GT had a production run that spanned from 1966 to 1968. This car could launch you from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.4 seconds and had 320 horsepower. The MIURA was the fastest car that Lamborghini had produced up until this point. This car had 380 horsepower and went from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. This car was produced from 1966 to 1969. The ISLERO was produced by Lamborghini from 1968 to 1969. This car hadn't been in production for that long, but was the predecessor to the JARAMA and the ESPADA. A short-lived car. But the concept and style of the car lasted in Lamborghini for an entire decade. This car had 325 horses under the hood and brought you from 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. The natural successor of the ISLERO was an interesting car made by Lamborghini from 1968 to 1978. This car could go from 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. This car was not the best car that Lamborghini has produced, going from 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds. Produced from 1970 to 1976, this car has 380 horsepower. Produced from 1972 to 1979, this car had 250 horsepower and went from 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. The Lamborghini Countach's production run ran from 1974 to 1990, making it the longest production run of a Lamborghini to date. This car was Lamborghini's fastest car since the MIURA, and it launched you from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. In the beginning years of the Countach, it had 375 horsepower, and in the later years had 455 horsepower. This was one of the only supercar models that was produced in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. This car was produced from 1976 to 1979. They go from 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. These cars have 325 horsepower. Lamborghini's first truck was mass-produced from 1986 to 1993. This truck went from 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds, with 444 horsepower and lifted high off of the ground. This was a capable and fast off-road vehicle. The DIABLO was a very modern supercar for that time, and had 492 horsepower. This car was very fast and went from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. The crazy successor to the DIABLO, the MURCIELAGO, has 630 horsepower and goes from 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. The first one of Lamborghini's baby supercars went from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and has 550 horsepower. The natural predecessor of the Huracan is what sparked a new segment of supercars for Lamborghini. The first car to come out from Lamborghini and can still be sold new today is the Aventador. The Aventador came out in 2012 and has 690 horsepower. This car is like a mid-engined rocket ship that can blast you from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. The successor to the baby supercar V10 Gallardo is the faster, sportier, and more modern Huracan. This car was first produced for the 2014 model year and had 572 horsepower and goes from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. The URRACO is Lamborghini's SUV that you could have bought new since 2018. With 410 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds, this car really puts the sport in sport utility vehicle, or SUV for short. That was a list of all of Lamborghini's cars that they have produced to the greater public over the years. Here are all of the URLs to the photos that I used. Please like and subscribe for more automobile content. Thank you for watching.